Hello and welcome to the F3 season finale here. We're in Malaysia at the Sepang circuit here this weekend. At the moment, Vanos is top of the leaderboards. He's on a different account today under Rich Fletcher, but we will refer to him as Vanos. So he is currently pole with a 131.6. Jamesy in second place on a 132.0. And just to confirm, after last week's results, as I'm just checking now, but Kuna Matata obviously winning last week, and after Vanos, sorry, not Vanos, after Kuna Matata got a time penalty removed, pushed him up ahead of Vanos, so he finished first in the end. And of course Jamesy didn't race last week, which means that the gap to Jamesy is 31 points, which means Kuna Matata is already F3 champion, so there is no pressure on him today, and Jamesy will settle for second. He is by far ahead of anyone else. However, in the battle for the final promotion spots is where it's really getting interesting here. Bendel unfortunately won't be joining us today, so he doesn't have a chance, and he was right on the cusp of those promotion spots as well. But in the F2 promotion spots currently, we have Jake, Steve, Smirtus and Polar Blizz on 76, 75, 69 and 52 points respectively. Now, if anyone below them, such as Ollie on 49, KLC on 40, and realistically Keegan on 33 is probably as low down as you're going to go. You've also got Cook and Vanos down there on 30 apiece. Are realistically not going to get promoted. 25 points for Vanos is, you know, looking likely here, but even 25 points would mean that Polar Blizz would have to finish 9th or lower, which, going by his current form, is highly unlikely. Of course, it is going to be a wet race. Full wets are confirmed for the race, so it will be heavy rain throughout, so look for some interesting overtakes hopefully throughout. Speaking of overtaking opportunities around this track are far from few, as there is a lot of overtaking chances on the track, as we see Racer actually retire from the session on a 133.6. Not a particularly fast lap, and one of the Williams getting in the way there slightly. I think it was actually Racer. But if we look at the circuit map, it's really turn 1 out of the DRS. Obviously they won't have DRS during the race, but turn 1 is going to be a massive overtaking opportunity, especially come first lap. I'm going to be predicting a bit of a pile up, unfortunately, a bit like Russia perhaps. Turn 2 is another overtaking opportunity if you get around the outside of someone at turn 1, potential. Turn 4 as well, the right hander going to the second sector, a good overtaking opportunity as you go up the hill. Turn 9, another good overtaking spot, which is where Fear is just approaching now. So as they'll come down into this section, it's a off-camber left-hander. Your next best overtaking opportunity, you can't get through at 11, which is here. Another off-camber corner, very difficult to get right. Through 12 and 13 there's really only one line. It's through 14 you're going to be looking for a potential overtaking opportunity. As you can see, it's a very wide corner, and shooting up the inside can work out, although it can backfire if you don't get on the brakes early enough. And then of course turn 15, the last corner, a good overtaking opportunity, nice and wide again, and you can take different lines going into this corner, especially in the wet, to try and maximise straight line speed. And as we see there, Fear doing a bit wide on apex there for his lap. We're right on board with Fear now. So he's yet to settle up. He's on the super soft tyres, and actually, as I say that, we just have a look to see what everyone is on at the moment. So you can see Race has actually gone on the softs, but I'm gonna say he's not gonna finish there. Fear with a very wide line through turn 3 here. Gonna lose a little bit of time there. Ollie has called it a day, and he's done with quali. Fear a little bit loose on the back end there. Through the far chicane at 5 and 6, almost flat. Just doesn't seem to have the confidence. A bit wide on apex through here, and he's maybe just got away with it through turn 7, 8. It's turn 9, a tricky corner to get right. See, just a little too eager on the turning, but he's done pretty well there, to be fair. This is a tricky one now, 11. Don't get too wide, and he's really cocked up his apex there. Completely misses it. As he comes into the final sector now, he's got a car in front of him, and that is the Haas car, who I believe is KLC. So Fear coming round into the final corner. Jamesy has called it a day. He will start from second at best. Fear comes across the line. It's going to be a 134. It's a 134.2 is the slowest of the runners so far. He's not got enough time for another lap unless he's going to go on. No, that is Fear done. Not the best of laps from him. No, he's struggled for pace this season really, and he's actually been outpaced by Miles by just under a tenth, so we're disappointed with that one for sure. Meanwhile, Hood's going around. Kuna Matata going for a lap now. Sure of a surprise from him. I wonder if there's anyone behind Kuna Matata actually. We haven't got many out on track. We've got Steve actually there as well. There you can see. Oh, and Cook. Okay, that's a very interesting line through that corner. Not quite sure what he's trying to do here. I think he's just retired there. Yep. Smerton's going round at the moment. Very smooth through 5 and 6. Little lift, that's almost perfect, just gets a little too early on the throttle. It's almost overdriving the car slightly here. But oh, and he's just way too early on the power there, and he's not limited the wheel spin. The back end has just stepped out on him. It was clean enough up to that point, he could improve here. Not a bad line at all through the last corner, maybe a bit early on the power again. Polar Blizz has gone P2, so that's definitely a good sign for him, finishing above 9th place here. And Smertens is not going to improve, so that is him done. As a ride on board with Kuna Matata. I think we've only got one runner going round. That is Miles. He's coming into the last corner. Steve goes second, that's a good lap from him. And we'll see where Miles actually goes. Now we ride on board with Kuna Matata. Was a little surprise for us, I believe, as F3 champion, having his little moment here today. And he has been given permission to do this, I can assure you. Celebrating his F3 title. Kuna Matata, not the best donuts in the world, I have to admit, but nonetheless, having a little bit of time to himself there. Congratulations on the F3 title to him, and we'll be looking forward to seeing him in F2 in next season, season 8 of PSF1. And hopefully that'll be everyone done. I think we're just waiting on Showjaws actually. So that is him done. Yep, just waiting on Showjaws. So once he gets done, hopefully we'll get there eventually. There we go. Show George eventually retires from the session, and with that, Vanos takes another pole in the Sauber, and he will be starting from pole yet again. In second place it's Steve. Third is Polar Blizz with a good lap there, a 1:32.0. James is just behind him. Ollie in fifth, Jake sixth, KLC seventh, Cook in eighth, Miles in ninth place. So he actually improved quite a bit there. We've got Smertens in 10th place, rounds out the top 10. Slightly further down we've got Racer Show George. Keegan Racer will be starting on the softs by the looks of it, although having said that he can't because it will be wets. Keegan, Mark, Fear and Kuna Matata of course didn't settle up. He will be starting from the back of the grid today, and good luck to him on his ascent through the field. So hopefully, oh my goodness gracious me, we've got a massive pile up in the pit lane. That is that isn't something you see every day. So hopefully we'll be able to have our 2-minute prep period here in Malaysia. Most drivers, I'm assuming, will go for a 2-stop. A 1-stop is possible, but depending on your tyre wear, it can be quite risky. So we'll see difference in strategies. The blue sidewall full wet tyre will be used throughout the Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure if anyone will risk going on to Inters, but if they do, they will be most certainly losing time throughout the entire lap. It's not going to dry up at all. It is 100% rain the entire race. So we just let the drivers finish off their strategies now. And then we'll get into it. So, as we said at the beginning of the stream, it is Smertens on that last promotion spot. Oh, sorry, Polar Blizz on that last promotion spot. Smertens above him by 17 points. But that could all change around by the end of this. So pretty much guaranteed promotion. Jake, who is actually guaranteed, he's 100% guaranteed promotion because he was on 76 points. He's more than 25 ahead of Ollie, who is the next lowest point scorer on 49. On 75 is Steve. He is 100% promoted as well. Bar him DNFing and Polar Blizz winning. That is the only way he can not get promoted. Other than that, you've got Ollie, who needs to beat Polar Blizz, depending on what positions they are running in. He needs to beat him to get promoted. Smertens 20 points ahead of Ollie, so if Ollie wins and Smertens gets 7th or higher, Ollie will be promoted. We just had someone join. I didn't actually see who that was. So here we go then, on to the formation lap. We'll just do this quickly. So Vanos takes them away in the Sauber once again. And James has been disqualified. Unfortunately, I don't think Francis Jessica will actually get in, joining there just before the race starting. But hopefully we'll have a clean start here. Russia was a bit interesting, having not even made it to the first braking point. We had a huge pile up, including 6 cars in total, I think it was in the end. There's another crash slightly further around on the lap. So you see Kuna Matata just coming round the back. We've got both the Toro Rossos in the back. That's not something we see very often, but obviously Kuna Matata, having won the title already, has decided he's going to have a bit of fun today and just find his way up from the back of the grid. He's got Fear to pick off first, who is his teammate. So I don't think we'll see any teammate love going on here today, since neither of them have anything to fight for apart from another win for Kuna Matata, average finishing position, and obviously Fear not finishing lower than mid-table. As we have, I believe it is 6 drivers getting promoted. Yep, so Kuna Matata, Jamesy, Jake, Steve, Smertens and Polar Blizz currently eligible for promotion. Bendel on 45 will not be promoted because he is 7 points behind Polar Blizz and is not in the session, so he will not get promoted, unfortunately for him. Meanwhile, who else we've got down there? We've got KLC, who needs a win. Second place will do it. Even third place would do it, actually, because third place would be 15 points, but Polar Blizz would have to finish behind him by at least 4 positions, I believe. But if KLC were to win, that does change around, but unfortunately, looking by that qualifying, 7th and Polar Blizz 3rd. I don't think we're going to get that, although it is wet, it is Malaysia, and it's the final race of the season, so it is all to play for here. Round 12 about to kick off as we watch the final cars come into position now, and we wait for the red lights and the drivers to launch off the line into turn 1. Quite a long run, this one, actually, not quite as long as Russia. So here we go, 5 red lights, they're out and away we go here, and it looks like Vanos is good. Quite a good start actually there. We've got a Ferrari, that's Miles making a move on the left hand side of the screen, and we've got Vanos going very defensive into turn 1 as we focus on Steve now through turn 1. Is it going to be clean? We've got a Ferrari up there, that's Jamesy already. Further towards the back, there's a bit of contact, but we've got a Sauber and a Force India with a Ferrari going 3 wide through turn 2. We've got a racer getting touched by Smertens there on the inside, but other than that, minor bit of contact. And as I say that, we've got Kuna Matata off in the background, and we've also got oh my goodness, wow, so we've made it through turn 1 and we've now lost I think potentially 2 drivers. We've got who's that? Salvas Cook in the background, he's lost his wing. Smertens I think had damage as well, yeah, as you can see there front right. Who else we've got? We've got Jake, who I think has managed to keep it together. Mark is all over the place through turn 5. Back end is like Christmas Day. We've got a yellow in sector 2 yet again. We've got already Kuna Matata up to P12. Show George is all over the place. They can't keep it on the track, these lads, at the moment. Cook all the way. That's an interesting broadcast cam. As we come away into the final sector now, it's Vanos from Steve, from Polar Blizz, from Jamesy, from KLC, who's made his way up to 5th, who's actually doing what he needs to do at the moment, but he's still got to get in front of Polar. Smertens currently down in 15th, so we could see KLC actually getting that last promotion spot. Oh, we've got Miles off in the background in the Ferrari, and Ollie and Fear go, but Fear is up to 8th place already. Wow, what a start from him. So unfortunately he's got no promotion to play for, but he's up to 8th place. He's doing a decent job at the moment. He's fighting Ollie at the moment in the Red Bull. Red Bull and Toro Rosso going side by side. And in the background we've got a little battle going on. It's a 4-way between the Ferrari, the McLaren, the Force India of Jake, and I believe the Renault of Smertens. And Smertens actually in the pits as I said that, and it was actually the Mercedes of Showjord. So as they go down the inside into turn 1, it's Showjord's up the inside. He's gonna make it stick, is he? He's been pushed a little bit wide there. I think he's actually lost out because he went a bit too deep, but he's got past Miles anyway. As we go on with, oh, and Lux has actually lost the position there, so I'm not quite sure what's happened here. And oh, and that's a big hit up the rear. Oh, who is that? That's Showjord's in the background. He's going to come right across the track and he's in the wall. And I'm not sure if he's got terminal damage from that. He's got most of his front wing there, but he's going to struggle to get out of there without Yeah, and I think that's him gone. It is indeed. Smerton's coming out now, and Cook. So Show George is our first retirement here in the wet at Malaysia. As you can see, Steve already dropping a second back. But Polar Blue is doing what he needs to do to get promoted at the moment. Smertons needs to get going, otherwise he is going to be stuck in F3 for another season. Oh, and that, I believe, if my eyes do not deceive me, is intermediates for Cook. So he is definitely going nowhere. He can't get promoted, but that is the end of his race with the intermediates on. And I'm not sure if Vanos has made a mistake here, but look how close Steve has got it. He's closed 5/10 in the last 7 or 8 corners, so he's really caught him here, down to 4/10. He's got the straight line speed. Look at him close. And coming into the final corner for the second time. They're going on to their third lap now. A little bit of a train forming behind them. Got Keegan up in P6, a good start from him, all the way down from 13th. All the way up, should I say. It's hard to see through the spray who's where, but Keegan is not defending the line. It's Ollie behind him, who will not surprise me if he goes for a move, but he holds position for now. Race is doing a good job in 8th place. He can't get promoted though, unfortunately for him. Fear also in 9th place, doing a good job in the wet. Kuna Matata just behind him. So the two Toros have followed each other up from last and second to last on the grid and got themselves up into point scoring positions here. As we see, who was that? That was Keegan, I believe. Yep, and I believe that is his race over. As he reverses out the wall, he will not be going anywhere in this race anytime soon. Miles has picked his way back up to 11th spot, so that's good for him. We've got Cook and Jake that have pitted. Smertons also. Smertons could actually lose out on promotion here, which would be a shame for him considering how good he's been all season. A very clean racer is Smertons. Just hasn't got the pace sometimes. As we see actually now, we've got Kuna Matata and Fear up into 7th and 8th. So Kuna Matata following Fear. We don't see that very often. But as the running order at the moment, as Steve has actually made a move, we've actually missed that one. So Steve has got past him, and I'm not quite sure if Vanos has a bit of an issue here, whether he's got front wing damage or something. Just doesn't have the pace. Steve's straight line speed there, as you can see, is just phenomenal compared to the Salvas. As you see, the gap started at 6/10, and by the end of the straight it's almost 8/10. Interesting to see all of them taking a tight apex. None of them taking a different line as of yet. Steve sets the fastest lap of the race, and Kuna Matata actually got past Fear there, so I'm not sure if that was an overtake or he just led him past. But Kuna Matata on the charge already. He's one up on half the grid at the moment. Absolutely flying is the F3 champion. And his title contender is nearest rival rather. Prior this race is not too far up the road. He is about 7 seconds in front, so it's not impossible to catch him. Might see a bit of a dice between those two yet again. As it gets a little bit sideways coming out of turn 4, but nothing too major. And who is that? That is Keegan in the pits. So he's only just made it in. He will be going onto the full wets hopefully for him. It looks like full wets to me. As Cook gets another 3-second time penalty. He is struggling on those intermediates. Just no grip. As Keegan does indeed go back onto the wet. So he's still got a chance, but realistically speaking, he's probably not going to get any points here today. Meanwhile, KLC doing what he needs to do in 5th place. Smerton's down in 13th, means that KLC will get promoted to F2. As I'm sure it will be a surprise to some. But KLC is in a promotion spot as it stands. Of course, pit stops have a part to play. Smertons will have to pit again. There's no way he can go the full race distance on that set of wets. Ollie, what is he doing at the moment? 9th place will not be good enough because Polar is in front. That's a good point actually. Ollie could nick the final promotion spot also off of KLC, but he's not in the right position at the moment, as we see Ollie dropping down the field. That's not Ollie, here's Ollie, and he's actually under pressure from Fear now. So Ollie having an absolute mare here. He might have just got past Fear actually, it might have been the other way around. But he is going around with Fear. As you can see the gaps fluctuating all the time. Much tighter line there from Fear. And as they come through turn 3 now, it's becoming clear that Ollie's got a little bit more pace than Fear at the moment. Jake's as fast as up on fresh wets as expected. Be interesting to see what fuel loads they're using as well. Towards the end of the race, fuel will become crucial. As we've got a battle going on for position here between Race and Kuna Matata, and Kuna Matata slides up the inside. Racer unable to defend, and he's already up into P6. Now, if he picks off KLC, it means that Smertens will hang on to that final promotion spot, but that is presuming that Ollie does not stay 8th position. He has to finish lower than 8th for Smertens. Sorry, has got a 20-point gap because it's Polar Blizz. So Smertens can't actually be knocked out by KLC. It is Polar Blizz. Sorry, I've been saying that all along. We've got a yellow in sector 3. Can only imagine that's for someone slightly further back. But it looks all good at the moment. So as it stands, sorry, KLZ will not get promoted because Polar Blizz is currently going around in 3rd place, which is 15 points, which will move him on to 77 points. And Smertens on 69 will be the final promotion spot. He has to be outscored by Ollie by 20 points, which I don't think is going to happen here today. So as long as Polar Blizz finishes higher than Ollie, basically finishes ahead of Ollie, he's guaranteed promotion. As long as he doesn't finish more than 4 points behind him, more than 3 points, sorry, behind him, then he will get promoted. And I'm pretty sure, looking at the current running order, that will be the way it stays, as Keegan has retired from the session, crashed out a while ago, and has just decided that he doesn't want to go around fighting nobody anymore. Well, Fear not too far behind Ollie, but he is dropping back. Oh, we've got side by side here of the Haas and Kuna Matata. There's KLC who's been caught already. A little bit sideways coming out of turn 6 there. So where a lot of time can be gained though through 7 and 8. KLC doing a good job at the moment though. You see a bit of a train forming here. That is KLC, Kuna Matata, Racer and Ollie. It's Kuna Matata getting a little bit sideways again. He's put a little bit of a gap here, I think, as the Haas. A little bit wide on Apex. It looks like Kuna Matata can't get close enough for the moment. He's gone very defensive very early. He's going to compromise his line here, maybe. Down to 2nd gear, and the back end is swinging around. And this could be a chance here for Kuna Matata. No DRS, of course, because of the wet weather tyres. Is he going to make a lunge down the inside? He is indeed, and Kuna Matata flies past KLC into 5th place. And he's picked off a number of... Oh, KLC back down the inside, slammed into the left-hand side of Kuna Matata's car. That was a very aggressive move from KLC. And we've seen that a lot from him this season. Now, I wonder, will Kuna Matata fight back here? No, he's going to stay behind the Haas driver for a little bit longer. He knows what KLC is going to do now. He's got to stick close. Look how close he is through the middle sector. Meanwhile, Vanos has retaken the lead from Steve. Remember, Steve can only not get promoted if Ollie... sorry, no, he can't not get promoted, so Steve was already promoted in that sense. Polar Blizz, however, is another thing entirely. So watch them dice through the last sector now. A little bit of a gap there as Vanos now. James is actually behind Polar Bears. I'm not sure if that was running order before. It may have been actually. But he's doing well at the moment, the American. Kuna Matata begins to close on the Haas yet again. So we're watching through this last corner. Just watch Kelsey's back end. Bit twitchy. I think he managed to control it a bit better that time because last time he was down in second. And if you're not taking a deeper line, that can very much affect your back end. But he's put a little bit of a gap there actually, in fairness to him. So he's done well for this lap. As we have further down the order, Lux getting past Miles. Is Miles going to have a look down into turn 1. He's just been overtaken into turn 15, last corner. And he's thought about it. Lux has gone very wide. All over the curbs. And oh, he's sideways through turn 2. And oh my goodness, how has he kept the car straight? And there goes Miles round the outside, and Lux is on the grass. And well, he didn't keep control of his car very well there. He was sort of asking to be overtaken with car control like that, and he indeed loses the position. Miles moves into a point scoring position. Meanwhile, further in front we've got Kuna Matata still chasing round KLC, and we've also got a battle up the front of Steve and Vanos. These two have been fighting all race, and that might have been a corner cut there from Steve, but he's all over the back of Vanos as they come through the final sector. Slightly different lines there, as you see. Vanos concentrating on exit, whereas Steve trying to get as close as he can under braking to maybe have a look up the inside. Gap is around half a second. Oh, could have Matata's back end just beginning to slide. Of course, tyre wear is a massive factor on this circuit. On these wet tyres, rears will be reaching 80% plus depending on setup and driving style by the end of the first and second stints. So these tyres really don't agree with this track. Rear tyre wear is a massive concern here, but these guys just about managing at the moment. We'll see who'll be doing 2 and 3 stops. They'll be stopping around now if they are on a 2-stop strategy, but I'm presuming most of them are on a 1-stop. You'll see Miles going through the last corner there. And there you go. So Lux is probably on a 2-stop strategy then. It's all over the place going into the pits. Jake is actually going to get past him here. And Smertens might as well, having said that. Cook is lapped car, so no need to worry about him. You see the Lux into the pits. Onto another set of the wet tyres. You see exiting the pit lane now, and he will rejoin in 13th position. Meanwhile, slightly further up the field, we've got Kuna Matata still stuck behind Kelsey, but it looks like he's beginning to push on a little bit now, the Haas driver. Ollie's now creeping up behind Kuna Matata. Interesting to watch the different driving styles here. Steve closes again to within 4/10. He drops off again on exit, but he's very close here. He might have a move going into the final corner. He's having a think about it, and he's no, he's not going for it just yet. As you can see there, a slightly deeper line from Vanos. I think he may have overcooked it though slightly. Not sure he meant to do that, and now Steve is right up his gearbox. And as they go down into turn 1, the two are side by side here. Steve has the inside line going into one. Vanos will hold it around the outside most likely. But in fairness to him, I don't think he's managed to do it. He's having a look up the inside, trying to get the cut back. Steve holding the inside, just parking the car on the apex. Vanos is still on the inside though. Is he going to squeeze him? No, he just about gets his car in front. Good driving from Steve there. Chose his moment. As they come up the hill now into 4, Vanos is not going to have a look. He's going to stay behind. I think it's safe to say that those guys won't be having a look at each other for a little while now. As we see Kuna Matata just dropping off a little bit more there. Jake's setting another fastest lap. Racer in the pits. He's going to drop down to around 12th position, I would expect. Or having said that, he's actually coming out the pits now. So this could be interesting. I think Smertens has just got the jump on him. Yep, as you can see there. About a couple of seconds or so. That's Cook again in the pits. And Steve continues to lead them round. On to lap 10 now. First pit stops will be being made if they're not forced upon them, that's for sure. Will be made around now. They have actually been a couple made so far. Let's just have a little look. Or Steve a little bit sideways there. Now, as you can see, I believe Racer's stop was a strategic stop along with Lux. So those two both potentially on 2 stops. I would think they're on 2 stops because of the tyre wear around here, but you never know. So come into the last corner once again. Another overtaking opportunity will arise, surely, for Vanos as he tucks in behind the rear wing of the Red Bull. And just moving to the outside here, Steve is going to cover the inside. Vanos as late on the brakes as he possibly dares. Steve a little bit wide in apex speed. He's just covering that inside dive from Vanos. As you can see, they're covering the inside. Doesn't want Vanos to dart up the inside into turn 2. Seems to be struggling for a little bit of traction here, Vanos. He seems to be making a lot of corrections, which means he's not got that rear stability that he's needing. He's very close to Steve under braking, but for now it remains Steve from Vanos. Can he tuck behind him for another half a lap or so? As we see, oh, who's that? That is Jake getting past Ollie, I believe. I think Ollie's had a bit of a moment there because he was not in that position. Ollie's actually made a stop, so that would explain that. And Steve has lost the position here to Vanos. And he's having a little fight with him now. He's up the inside. Oh my goodness, that's risky into turn 11. You'll see a couple of overtakes there, but not many, I can assure you that. And even fewer that actually succeed in getting past there. Steve trying everything to get through at the moment. He does not want to be trailing. Vanos is no stranger to making an aggressive attempt at an overtake. We saw that in Baku when he forced one of the Force Indias into the wall. Steve just dropping off a little bit again. And he's actually into the pit, so a 2-stop strategy from Steve. I believe Vanos is going to go to the end, and Polar Blizz meanwhile has caught right up to the back of these guys. He's only less than 2 seconds down now on the leaders, and Jamesy within a second of him, so we can have a 4-way battle for the lead here at some point. Steve again onto the wet tyres. Kuna Matata, here he is, the championship winner, into 4th place on the 12th lap of the Grand Prix. Not bad from last on the grid. 5th from 6th place. He's done a brilliant job so far. He's into the pits. Why couldn't he have done this earlier in the season? I don't know. Very cautious on pit entry. Miles will go past him into P6. Miles having a great race at the moment. Again, another driver we haven't seen do much this season, unfortunately. Jake goes flying past, and we actually got KLC behind Miles at the moment, so I'm pretty sure. Oh, where is Miles off to there? He's off to Narnia at the first corner. And oh my goodness, where has he gone? He's managed to rejoin just behind KLC, thankfully. But he's had a bit of a moment there through turn 1. Not quite sure how he's done that. And Jake very close through turn 3, and Miles has gone off the track. And he's rejoined just behind Jake. He's not going to have a look surely on dirty tyres. There we go. Ollie in 9th place. And Miles yet to make a pit stop, of course. He's doing well for himself, to be fair to him. Maybe he's struggling though. And everyone behind him has actually got to make another stop, so he's not in the worst position as Ollie takes a risk and darts up the inside of Miles as he goes sideways out of turn 6, and he's again sideways to turn 7 and 8. A bit of rally style there from the Ferrari driver. Cook has retired on 5 stops after 12 laps. We've got Smertens and Racer going side by side here through the middle sector. Smertens going up the inside. Can he make it stick? Racer trying to hang it around the outside. In fairness to him, he's done it, and Smertens getting a bash there on his front right. I don't think there's any damage, but these guys having a tussle, and by no means taking any prisoners. It's all or nothing for these guys. There's nothing to particularly fight for. Smertens doing well for himself at the moment. He needs to finish in the points ideally though. So we'll see if the front runners are going to pit this lap. Nope, they've gone round again. Kuna Matata following them, and he reckons he can catch them here. He's only 11 seconds down now on the leaders. Steve in 5th place is the theoretical leader of the race, but he has to pit once more, whereas the guys in front of him have only got to make their one singular stop. KLC in 6th place doing what he needs to do. He could potentially move up to 5th here, so he's still in a good position. Ollie still needs to stop as well. Sorry, Miles still needs to stop rather. He's having a good race at the moment. As I say, he's sideways coming through turn 3. His rear tyre wear must be through the roof right now, having slides like that every corner. You see Miles just trying to keep his car in a straight line. It's not going very well for him at the moment. He's got to stop this lap shortly. He's losing so much time to the guys in front of him. As coming into the middle sector now, we've got a little dice going on still between Jake and Kelsey, nothing too major. Up the front we've got Polar Blizz, who's tucked right up behind the rear wing of Vanos now. I'm presuming they will pit on lap 14, which is this lap now, as they go on to their 14th lap. Polar Blizz has definitely got pace here, having caught Vanos already. Obviously Vanos battling with Steve may have slightly worse tyre wear, but Polar Blizz is by no means out of the chance for a win here today. Steve has got to pit again, so unfortunately I don't think he's really going to get a chance. But he's got fresh air, so you never know. We'll see what sort of lap he puts in here. So 150.0. Of course, he was out the pits. So, sorry, no, he wasn't out the pits. So that's it's not a too bad lap in theory. I expect them to be going a little bit faster than that come the end of the race. But for now, it's solid pace. He's only, let me tell you that he's about 20 seconds off the leaders. But he's definitely still in contention. Kuna Matata catching still. He's got the gap down to 9.9 as Miles gets a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And look how close Polar Blizz is. He's just stuck to the rear end of Vanos' Sauber. Very cautious on throttle. He's protecting those rear tyres. And that's probably why he's as close as he is to Vanos, because he just looked after his tyres so well. Now at this stage of the race, tyre wear is crucial. Now if they don't pit this lap, then I'm not quite sure what these guys are going for, because they're going to have to pit at some point, and halfway through the race is optimal time to pit, especially on a one stop and the tyres are identical. We'll see what happens. Top 3 covered by 2.5 seconds currently. Kuna Matata looming behind them by another 10. Here we go. Oh, they got to pit, and yep, Polar Blizz is pitted. Interestingly, Vanos hasn't. So that is an interesting one from him. Polar Blizz very slow into the pits. Very, very slow on pit entry. Kuna Matata's in as well. So, where is Steve in relation to these guys? He's obviously going to be in front because he's got the undercut. He's on fresher tyres, but he's got to stop again. And there you go, fast lap of the race at 1:49.6. Let's just have a quick little look at the race director. He's setting 1:49.6s. As you can see there, he is almost, in fact he is, sorry, no, he is almost 3 seconds a lap faster than the front guy. So he is gaining 3 seconds a lap in fresh air. Vanos has made a big mistake here staying out. He's going to be on very old tyres. And Polar Blizz has actually got out in front of KLC, his teammate, so that's going to help him. KLC is currently in the promotion spots with Vanos to pit. He's got Ollie behind him though, and Kuna Matata's actually lost out quite a bit there. So not quite sure what happened in his pit stop, but he's on track now, going round again. We've got Fear in 9th place. Jake in 10th on 2 stops. He's going to have to make another stop unless he's just made one. Miles going around in 12th. He's having a little battle with Smertens here. Bit too deep on entry, unfortunately. Really is revving that engine out, Vanos, in the lower gears, and that will be guzzling his fuel up. And he is indeed pitting with a line like that. I sincerely hope so. Now the question is, where is he going to come out? I'm going to predict around 4th place. But he's later on the brakes into the pit, so that may have just gained him that little bit extra that he lost on that in-lap. So we'll see where they are now. Steve has come around the last corner, so he's well into the lead of the race. But we've got Polar Blizz now, still coming down the back straight, along with Jamesy and KLC. Ollie a little bit further behind with Kuna Matata. So they come down the front straight now. We've got Vanos in the pits. Can we try and get a view maybe of him through the barriers? Is that him in front? It is actually. So he's come out in front of these guys. Wow, that is surprising. He's actually pulled a 2-second gap on Polar. So he must have had one hell of an in-lap, because that is some doing there. He's actually pulled out almost a second by doing the overlap. So well done to him. He's got a 4.6 second deficit to Steve, but that's Steve's problem, unfortunately. He's got to stop again. There's no way his tyres will last till the end, and if they do, he's going to be very slow, that's for sure. Yeah, Polar Blizz a little bit sideways there out of turn 5. Sorry, turn 6. Jamesy in the Ferrari, 2nd place. Unfortunately for him, in the championship he didn't turn up to Russia, therefore making it mathematically impossible for him to get the title here today. But he strides on into F2 next season, so where he belongs really, with the pace he's got. KLC currently unable to get promoted due to the fact that Polar Blizz is in front of him. Smerton's on 69 points, will be promoted at this rate even if he doesn't score. Having said that, actually Ollie's in P6 at the moment, so he won't, because Ollie will get 8 points for 6th place. That's if, of course, he stays there. 8 points will put him on to 57, so Smertens needs to get at least 7th place as it stands. Ollie will be promoted. Sorry, I keep saying that. It's Polar Blizz that is who's on 52 and Smertens on 69, so Smertens is well within promotion spots here. I keep getting them muddled up. Polar Blizz on 52 points is currently running around the 3rd, so he's got no problems whatsoever. Smertens on 69 points, pretty much guaranteed a promotion spot. So hard work throughout the season, averaging just under 7 points a race. So he's done well there, actually, in fairness. As we can see now, the gap is just down to 2.9, so Steve beginning to struggle a little bit. Polar beginning to struggle too, up to 3 seconds. But maybe this guy's just trying to find their rhythm now with these new tyres. Jamesy with the gap to 1.6 seconds through the middle sector. And of course Kuna Matata lurking just behind the Red Bull of Ollie. We've got a battle down at the back between Miles, Lux and Smertens. So we'll go on board with these guys. Bit of airtime for this lot. And Lux, oh my goodness, he's all sideways through there, and he's definitely not going to hold the position. Smertens darts in front of him, and as you can see, they're so close going through turns 7 and 8. Miles, meanwhile, has gone streaking up the road. As Lux going to have a move into turn 9. Oh, he's late on the brakes. He thought about it and then went for it. Vanos sets the fastest lap of the race, gap down to 2.2. But Smertens gave him the room, in fairness, and he was a bit hesitant at first, Lux, but he's gone, oh, okay, thank you, and slipped it up the inside. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, and as I said, it's very sideways through the last sector, and he's on the grass. And he's lost the position again to Smertens. He's going to have grass all over his tyres. He's trying to control the slide. He's on a 2-stop strategy anyway. But he's all over the place. And look at the gap he's lost now to Smertens. The Renault driver will go chasing Miles down now. Phil, unfortunately for him, is really in no man's land at the moment. He can't really catch Jake, and Miles, I'm not really sure, but he's 14 seconds behind, so I really wouldn't be fussed if I were Fear. Meanwhile, Vanos has lost another 6/10 since the beginning of the lap to Steve. And other than that, this is really the only battle going on at the moment. Merton's currently enjoying guaranteed promotion, along with Steve, Jamesy and Kuna Matata. Jake likewise. Miles, very interesting throttle pattern there. Oh my goodness, and he's going for a different line, that's for sure, through turns 7 and 8. And as you can see, that has allowed Smertens to literally creep underneath his rear wing as he defends the inside, darts back to the racing line. Bit of an early turn in there, but he's kept the car on the track. That's the main thing. Is we've got Ollie off the track, and where's that actually? That is at the final corner, I believe. So he's lost his front wing as well. I'm not sure how he's done that. He must have hit the back of Kuna Matata. He's in the pits anyway. Racer gets past him. Jake is going to get past him as well, and so is Fear. If he can just hold it together. Yep, nicely done. As the battle for 11th place continues. This is Smertens chasing Miles. He's very close under braking. Going for a slightly later apex there, so he's going to have a little better... Oh, and he's just compromised his exit there slightly. He's just got a little too much power down too early. But he's tucked in the slipstream here. He might still have a chance. Miles' straight line speed looks pretty decent though. Into turn 1. No, he's not going to have a look yet. Different lines again through the first sector. Wider line is a little bit grippier, so that's why you see them struggling. And as they go wider, as you can see there, able to keep the car a lot easier than he did on the inside. It's just really a battle of keeping the time as low as you can and making sure that you're pressing the driver in front to make a mistake. Not too much going on as Mark has made another pit stop. Sideways again. That's a bit of a common factor of his. But this really isn't going to work out for Steve at the moment because he's got to make another... Oh, as I say that, he actually goes into the pits. So this is where it's all going to happen now. Steve on the charge, on fresh tyres. He has got 9 laps, including this one, to push as hard as he can. Oh, KLC's actually in as well. So KLC on a 2-stop strategy. Jake, I think, is all good till the end, although he might make another stop depending on tyre wear. Racer is on a 1-stop strategy, as far as I know, and Fear also taking an interesting line there. Oh dear, what's happened between these two? Miles and Smertens both very wide through the penultimate corner. Ollie's down in P12, he's actually in AI mode, so he's given up by the looks of things. KLC in the pit, and he's actually been done by Jake there on pit exit. Ollie has gone without retiring. It's a clever move. You can see Polarbear's still behind Vanos by just over a second, so he's really not losing the back of the Sauber, just keeping his distance really. Kelsey trying to push now, but he's not got a lot of grip on those tyres, especially in these conditions. Steve on the charge, he's got a 9.5 second deficit to Kuna Matata in front, who by the way has got the gap down to the leaders to about 8 seconds now. So he's beginning to creep in. See these guys in front all going to the end on this set of tyres. Polarbear's made a mistake there because he's actually lost a bit of time to the driver in front, who is of course Vanos. Into the final corner they go. Slightly deeper entry from Jamesy. Not sure if he meant it really, because he didn't really get the exit he was looking for. You can hear the rear tyres being strained there, the sliding across the surface. Let's have a little look where Fear is. He's actually caught up to the back of Racer. So whether Racer had a little incident, not quite sure. Miles just dropped off the back of Smertens, and as I say, that is very sideways through 14. As we have a look at the telemetry, as he comes out of 15, we'll just be able to see Fear's actually into pits for a second stop. KLC's got back past Jake. We'll just look at the telemetry here. Very on and off with the power, which won't help his tyre wear at all, because he's literally just holding the accelerator down as hard as he can. Interesting pit entry there. And Lux gets a 3-second time penalty. We've got a couple of pit stops going on, and Polar tucks up behind. Rear wing of Vanos. Jamesy less than a second behind him. We've got the top two within 1.5 seconds as Polar has to make a little adjustment, and it's cost him a couple of tenths, if not more. This for me is where Polar's losing his time. He's a little bit too cautious and he's a little bit too rear end happy. But in fairness, he's caught Vanos by a couple of tenths. Just a straight line speed, but I think Vanos has got him. Lux that's caught up to Ollie now in P11. So we'll see what's going on there with these guys. And of course Ollie actually being a ghost car, so that is a pretty irrelevant battle right now, to say the least. Jake and KLC, this should be interesting to watch for a little bit if he can get close enough to the Haas. Oh, he's into first gear, and that's not going to help him at all. And he's actually lost time by doing that, quite a lot of time. He was tucked up behind him within a second. Steve, 13 seconds behind Jamesy now. But is it going to be enough? He's got to catch by 3 seconds a lap and pass. So he's got to make sure that these tyres are doing their job. Meanwhile, Kuna Matata. Oh, and he's sideways coming out of turn 6. He's kept it alive though, as Polar still has a half-second gap to Jamesy and a second gap to Vanos. It has pretty much been the same way for around 5, 6, maybe even more laps now. And of course, no DRS means that overtaking opportunities have to be constructed with a lot more thought. It's not simply get close to another driver, open the DRS and fly past. Though having said that, even that is quite difficult in these cars. Jamesy does look the quickest of the three at the moment, as Vanos makes a little mistake there. I think he actually got away with it. He got a decent exit. But this is helping Kuna Matata at the moment. No, they're not really fighting, so yeah, deeper line into turn 1. Holding in 7th gear there, James. He's revving the engine right out, and Polar is right behind Vanos. It just doesn't. It looks so inconsistent with his pace. That's what it is at the moment. He's just 1 minute he's got a 1.2 second lead, and the next minute he just drops right off. Whether he's saving fuel or not, I'm not quite sure. But he needs to just find that consistency at the moment, because Polar is right there. As we ride on board, there you go. There's the physical gap. The gap is 6 tenths in terms of time. Jake has just dropped off the back of KLC. As I was about to switch to these guys, I think a position swap is on the cards. Lux again. I think that if we see the telemetry, he's very on and off with the power, which is making the car slide a lot. And as we see here, Miles up the and Lux up the inside, pushes Miles off the track, and I think he's actually lost the back end there. So Miles is going to get a look into the last corner. With just over 5 laps to go, this could be a quite an interesting battle forming here. Miles not quite going for the move yet. Lux defending the inside on the exit, but I think he's got a good enough exit to ensure that he holds that position. Back up to the front. These guys almost coming round to lap Miles and Lux. Polar Blizz unable to get close enough here. Jamesy unable to get close enough as well. He's within 4/10, and I'm not sure if he's just saving fuel or what, but revving out in 7th gear is not helping his cause. A little bit of an adjustment on entry there just to correct the oversteer. Got to prevent that rear end from sliding. That's the biggest concern at the moment for these guys. Any sort of big slide could cause extra wear, which could ultimately end up in a puncture. Again, Kuna Matata continues to gain, and Steve, I don't think he's going to get close enough. He's only got the gap down 7.2, and that's on Kuna Matata, so unfortunately I don't think he's going to get close enough. Promoted anyway. Smerton's into P8. Yeah, he's already promoted, of course. And Ollie, although he's actually left the session, hasn't he, so we won't bother about him. But Bendel possibly could have got promoted here today, but Polar Blizz being in 2nd place would have meant that that's pretty much impossible. Anyways, we see Jamesy taking an interesting line through turn 11 there, on the entry to turn 11. And Kunimatachi just gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Not sure how he's done that. Probably did that at turn 9, to be fair. Polar, look how close. It's actually Ollie, but he's dropped off a little bit actually there. I was going to say it's right up his gearbox, but he's actually dropped back about a 10th or so. So Vanos finding a little bit of pace as we see Lux and Miles fighting for position again. Oh, they're side by side through turn 2. Miles forces his way through the number 91 Ferrari. Oh, and they're both off in the grass. Has Miles got damage here? I think he's just about kept alive. These two have been scrapping for the last 4 laps or so now. Miles looks to be the quicker of the two because he continues to catch. He's just got to keep his head now. He's just got to keep it cool. He's got a 2-second deficit to make up now on the McLaren. It's doable. I would definitely say he could beat Lux here. He's holding it in 5th gear to prevent any extra wheel spin that he might need, or might not want, sorry. Just 4 laps to go now. The title is settled. Every promotion spot as it stands is settled, barring a miraculous spin from Polar Blizz, which would see KLC get promoted out of all people. But I don't think even that would ensure promotion for him, because he's currently P6, P5 will get him 10 points. And he's on 40, so he would actually be 2 short. And Polar Blizz has made a mistake here. He's down to 2.6 now. The gap to Jamesy is 0.68. So he's definitely had a bit of a wobble there somewhere. Jamesy looks to take a later entry, and then he cuts it short. So he's compromised his tyre wear a little bit there. As we approach the final 3 laps of the race now, it is Vanos that leads Polar Blizz from Jamesy, from Kuna Matata, started all the way down in last place. Steve in 5th, KLC 6th, Jake in 7th, and Smertens in 8th. All of those guys, bar KLC and Vanos, will be promoted. So well done to those guys. 6 promotion spots is the most we've ever had from F3. Due to the dropouts in F1 this season, it means that more needed to be added to F2, as F2 will be filling F1 for next season. That'll be a good season next season for that. Make sure to tune into the F1 streams at 8 PM. Be some good racing hopefully next season for season 8. But back to our race here. At the moment, Jamesy still can't get close enough, and Lux has actually conceded the position to Miles, so these two have traded positions once again for the God knows how many times. I've lost count by now. These two just continue to make mistakes, and as I say that, Miles is sideways, Lux is sideways, and Lux, wow, that is a very interesting dive bomb. And Miles has tangled wheels with him because Lux has pushed him wide. And hopefully Miles won't go for a dive bomb here. Oh my goodness, as I say that, he's dive bombed him and he's bashed into the side of Lux's car, and these two have just completely lost all respect for each other. And it is a matter of who actually doesn't crash here in the end. I think it's going to be Lux actually takes the lead out of these two now. Miles going down the inside, he's gone way too deep, he's almost ended up on the AstroTurf, avoids contact with the McLaren, looks down the inside, isn't quite close enough. Lux very cautious on the throttle, has made a mistake and gone wide. And he's on the grass, trying to keep it out of the wall, turn 3, and he's just about recovered it. So these guys definitely going at it. Polar Blizzard's dropped right off now, so I can't see him getting a win today, but a second place is all he needs to confirm promotion. To be honest, he could finish 4th and still get promoted. As long as he beats KLC, he is guaranteed promotion. Miles tucks right in behind again, and he's up the inside. There's a little bit of contact between the McLaren again. These two racing hard, no prisoners in these. Oh my goodness, he's gone for an almighty dive bomb, and he's actually almost made it stick there, but it was a horrendous. Oh, and they've tangled coming through turn 10. These two really need to calm it down. Miles having a look up the inside of every corner. Not the best driving critique I've ever seen, I must admit. Lux is sideways, coming through 13. Miles, oh, he's going to get the inside of Lux as he's sideways through 14. These two continue to slip and slide round the wet Malaysia track here in PSF1 as we approach the last couple of laps now. These guys are almost being lapped actually. Let's just have a little look to where, yeah, there you go, there is Vanos, just a couple of corners behind. There you go in the background. But other than that, this battle that's currently going on. Oh my goodness, he's going for the dive bomb, is he? Yes, Lux is up the inside, he hits the back of Miles with some force, and I can guarantee you that these two will be getting penalties after this race, because that is very, very poor racing. A long distance dive bomb. That is a lack of respect for each other there, and just a contrast of emotions, I can guarantee you that. Meanwhile, it's the last lap for, so oh, and Miles has actually got a better run. Oh, and he's pushed, wow, he's actually pushed Lux off the track. This is shocking right now. Lux almost tangles with our race leader. Miles, I thought he was slowing down there for a minute, but he's definitely not. And if Vanos manages to get past without being destroyed by the Ferrari, he will take home the victory today, fair and square. Pobers has dropped right off the gap, almost 5 seconds now. James has also dropped off of him. And we haven't really got any two drivers close to each other. Miles is trying to get out the way, although he's not really made it easy for Vanos. And there you go, Lux has caught right up to the back of the Ferrari again. And this will be the last lap for these boys behind Vanos because they have been lapped. So we'll go back on board with these guys for a moment or two, and as I say that, Lux has bottled the last penultimate corner, and he will be finishing P12, presuming Miles doesn't do the same in the final corner. Vanos meanwhile racing on a second account has not made it look easy, he's made it look difficult at times, but he has done well here to take home the win in Malaysia, the final race of the season. He won't get promoted though, he does not have enough points. Polar Bliss comes home in a strong P2. Jamesy, the final podium spot. Kuna Matata P4. Stephen P5. Almost caught them, but not quite. KLC in P6. It will be his second best finish in PSF1. Actually, it might be his third best because Japan, I believe, he got a 4th place. KLC will come home in P6. Jake, after having a mare of a start, is going to come home in P7. Miles 11th and Lux 12th there, as you can see. Jake coming home P7. Final race of the season. Celebratory weaves there, and Smertens is going to come home in P8. He will have promotion to F2. He may not know it yet, but he is promoted along with Polar Biz, Jamesy, Steve, Kuna Matata and Jake. Looking forward to them in F2 next season. There we go, Smertens coming across the line in 8th place. Racer will come across the line in 9th place in his Williams. Fear coming down the back straight now. It was up to P6 at one point. He's made a 2-stop to try and prevent any punctures. As he comes through the final corner now, he completes the finale of Season 7 in F3 PSF1. And a fairly eventful race there. We had a little bit of a dry patch in the middle, but it was and towards the end, but we had a good, good little battle. We had a destruction derby going on between Lux and Miles, and I'm sure they'll be investigated by the stewards later on tonight after the F1 race. But now it's time for the podiums, and congratulations to these three. So unfortunately for Vanos, he will not be getting promoted into F2 even with that win, but he will have a chance next season through the mid-season promotions and even at the end of the season promotion spots. Jamesy and Kuna Matata, sorry, not Kuna Matata alongside him, that is Polar Blizz, a great finish from him today, will seal their places alongside our championship winner Kuna Matata in F3, who actually finishes 5th behind Steve in the end. So there you are, our final race order for Season 7 is Vanos taking the top spot. It's Polar Viz that finishes P2 ahead of Jamesy, our 2nd place sitter in the championship, who finishes 3rd. Steve finishes 4th on a 2-stop race, and Kuna Matata all the way up from the back from 16th to finish P5 after penalties. 6th is KLC, a good result from him. Jake 7th, Smertens in 8th, Racer 9th, Fear coming home for the final point in 10th, and the only points the last car not to get lapped. Miles and Lux having a bit of a scrap there towards the end, not very ethical from them. As we go further down the field, we have early on Showjaws that dropped out, Keegan as well, and of course Cook, not to mention Ollie that also left the session, so unfortunately he has gone. That's it for Season 7 here in F3. Join us in a couple of weeks time for Season 8, a new season with new drivers in F3. There'll be a lot of new and hopefully good battles going on, new rivalries as well. But it's been a great season. Hope you've enjoyed all of the streams on this channel. Hopefully you can join us again for Season 8 in a few weeks time, but for now it's goodbye and we'll see you next time.